Thank you so much for joining us for our series of virtual in-conversation events. We are incredibly grateful to all of the creatives and artists who shared their time, their wisdom, and their experience with us. It's easy to ask in the face of a global pandemic, why do the arts matter? But the truth is that theatre is as old as civilization itself. It's a place where we learn, we explore, and we share our common humanity. It's a pressure valve for society, a safe space in which to explore dangerous ideas. And above all, it's entertaining. At Dark Unicorn Productions, we rely very heavily on the support of our wonderful patrons to continue our work. You can join them and become a patron of the arts yourself by joining our scheme, which starts at just £50 per year to become a rainbow unicorn. Be part of the Dark Unicorn family. Be part of the recovery and the future of theatre. Don't let the lights go out. Become a patron today. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Dark Unicorn in Conversation. My guest today is an actor, writer, producer, and joint head of an Arts Council England funded theatre company, which has not long finished a 3-part Zoom-based comedy play via the online presence of London's Cockpit Theatre. And he's done all of this just over a year after leaving drama school. His is a story which, though beginning in London, includes an early childhood in the heat of civil war in Africa, returning to Britain as an asylum seeker, and charting a course from that level of instability to one exploding with creativity, even picking up a British Panto Award nomination along the way. But there's nothing that I can say in an intro which can even begin to equal what he has to say for himself. His name is Marc Zayat, and I started out by asking him about his company's pioneering work in bringing theatre to the world of Zoom. You've sort of been a bit of a pioneer locally with your company being an early adopter of streaming to provide lockdown theatrical entertainment in association with the Cockpit. How was that experience for you and for your team?
If I'm honest, it was a little bit bizarre just because we're used to, live theatre and having the audience there and sort of gauging if they're enjoying it or not, to be honest with you. Plus, everyone loves a post-pub sort of trip after the theatre. But it was fun. It was nice. We'd had like a few things that we did, like Twitter and stuff like that, where we could see what the audience were thinking, and it was really nice to try and connect to people like we did in a normal theatre. Bog Royal Bandits was an original comedy, which obviously because you watched it, and it was fantastic to do, and I'm really glad we did it. It was a new experience.
For those that didn't see it, do you want to talk a bit about what was involved?
Yeah. So it was I'll explain how it went down. So I had this idea of doing a Zoom play, because I started watching plays that were originally already written for the stage, be put on Zoom, and there was a slight clash. It wasn't that it was problematic, it was more that you can tell it's for the stage, and I don't know if it's because I've seen it on stage or not. So I had an idea of making a show, writing one and putting it on with a theatre specifically for Zoom. And my idea was I wanted a comedy, something that people can laugh about, because what I believe is if you can laugh about something, the sooner you do, the sooner you can sort of start to move on. So our heist comedy is about, it's a toilet roll heist. 6 neighbours band together to sort of steal as many toilet rolls as possible from their local Costco or supermarket. And they are I would say they're 6 very different people. And they are coming together on Zoom to try and organize this heist that none of them have ever done before. Even if they say they're experienced, none of them have actually done it. And we wanted to really pull on British stereotypes of people, and what the current climate was on Twitter and Instagram, and sort of the meme generation, how they were finding it, but also the older generation. So we wrote this piece, and it was actually based, only a month earlier, where, we had this toilet paper hoarding situation, which I don't know if still happening, but I'm sure, I think it's calmed down now. And we called it the Bog Royal Bandits because it rhymed, and we wanted something to say that it's a comedy, it's not just, a digital heist. And then we cast it, we put it on, we joined up with the Cockpit to do our sort of final R&D stage, and we rehearsed it like a normal play. So we came on and we rehearsed it on Zoom with the director, and then we would take recordings, takes. We used a few different technologies to get it done, and to record it and get it cut and everything fine. And yeah, originally the plan was to have it live. And what we figured out was, if we were going to have it live on the Cockpit's website and stream it all to everyone every night, and having all those people watch, all of our internets had to be just incredibly large to hold it all together. So we attempted it in the sort of the first episode kind of thing, and we were like, we need to record and we need to edit. So it's not really live theatre, which is something that I love, which I'm sort of irritated that we couldn't pull off. But it's definitely is theatre in the way that it's very out and bold, and really pulls the audience in. Yeah.
We will have more to say about that in the future, that in later on. But looking at you as an individual, I mean, your life in and of itself has been quite dramatic. You were, am I right in saying, born into a civil war?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was born here.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was born here in King's College Hospital. Why did I need to tell you that? I was born here, and actually, you're right, we moved back to Sierra Leone, where I'm from, because my dad wanted to start his business there with his dad. So half of us were British citizens, half of us weren't. And then we moved and lived in Sierra Leone until I was 5. But for that time, we then came across, obviously, a civil war, the Sierra Leonean civil war, in 2001. And that was a very traumatic thing to happen to our family. We then had to, obviously, seek asylum in Britain, because some of us didn't have British citizenship, and yeah, we had to lose everything we had. When I mean everything, I mean all of our business, our livelihoods, some of our pictures, our baby pictures and family heirlooms. A lot of it had to be left behind as we evacuated this country that was actually horrific. My sort of memories that I have as a 5-year-old child is sort of me hiding underneath a bed, all day, and sort of only having to eat, Rice Krispies. And I remember this memory of me crying because I wanted more Rice Krispies, but we didn't have any left. I remember crying and screaming at my mum, and it's this one memory that keeps going over. Why did I do that? I didn't need to put so much stress on my mum, just because I wanted milk with my Rice Krispies. But I didn't understand what was going on, obviously. And I remember sort of, you know, the rebel soldiers coming into our house and always asking for, you know, something, otherwise they were going to take one of us away. And it's just very, it was a very difficult time. And we were lucky to escape and be able to start a life again in Britain, although it wasn't easy.
How did you come through that? I mean, were you able to, did you have anyone else in Britain that you could go to as you're claiming asylum, or were you held, or were you homeless, or were you...
So we had quite a lot of family here, but because we're a family of 6, it is extremely difficult to, you know, house us. So when we first got here, and it took a while to get here, we had to go through, I think they took us into Nigeria to then get a flight out. So we had to go through Ghana to Nigeria, and then the British Embassy flew us over. But then the flight we got was sent to France, and then we were detained in France for a bit. And then my dad had to go another way, and then we went another way. And then once we got into London, they were like, "We can't help you further. I'm sorry." So we had to go and find our own way, you know, where we're going to live. We were homeless. We had no money. So, you know, that was it. We were homeless. And then we luckily had a lot of family here. So we started couch surfing. But eventually, you know, they kicked us out because we're a family of 6, and, you know, they're having their own life, and their own family. And you've got to take, you know, it's difficult to like house that many people. So we moved house to house to house until my dad finally got a job, and was able to sort of, you know, pay rent. And then, or simple things like, you know, we already had bank accounts, but like having to reopen them and stuff like that, it just took a long time to like work everything out. And then we eventually started renting somewhere. And my dad's first job was at the Cockpit Theatre.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And he still works there. He's a weekend manager. And he signed me up for sort of Saturday school, so I'd go to work with him, and it was for Dream Arts Theatre Company. I'm not sure if they're still alive, but I'm not sure if they're still going, but yeah, that was my Saturday school, and he put me in it to sort of start doing stuff and meeting people.
I was going to ask, well, how did performance and theatre come into your life? And it's very close to home.
Yeah, it just happened. It just all came into the mix somehow. Like, he found a job there. He's not really a theatre man. Of course he is now. But he wasn't back then. And then when they signed me up to sort of, you know, start to make friends, I started to fall in love with theatre. At the same time he was falling in love with theatre. And then that's how I'm here right now, doing what I do.
Yeah. Bonding experience. So at what point in all this was it through that school you realised that actually you are a performer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a performer.
I think I've always been a performer.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, so my mum always tells me that when I was a kid, I used to go and steal people's clothes and pretend I was them. And one of the memories I have of that actually is my nan. She obviously had a walking stick, and I'd always steal one of her like big gowns, and I'd wear it and hold the walking stick and pretend I was her. And everyone was like, "What are you doing?" And I just kept playing characters. So that's where that came from, I think.
And you met your current creative partner, was that at university?
Yes.
Where did you study, and what did you study theatre?
Yeah, so I studied. I went to the Brit School, and that was great. That's where I went to sixth form, and then I kind of started falling in love with writing, and creating work and stuff like that. So I thought the best thing to do was sort of go to university rather than drama school. So I actually didn't apply for drama school until later. And then I went to Royal Holloway University of London in Surrey, and that's where I met Dana Hudson, who's my partner right now, for Ethereal Theatre. And I did English and drama, and sort of started learning about literature and plays and how to write. And the drama degree, I wouldn't say, if I'm honest with you, I didn't learn anything in drama. I did not, I don't know what the purpose is of a drama degree in that way, but I guess a lot of people have different ways and different routes they want to go to, like being drama teachers, drama facilitators, stuff like that. But I wasn't interested in any of that kind of stuff. But I did it. And it was a great bubble in that school, yeah.
Did you then, because you did take the postgrad route to drama school, was that immediately after, or did you have a gap in between? Or?
No, I went immediately after.
No,
I fell in love with acting again at Royal Holloway just because of the bubble of theatre there. And not through the course, because there was no acting during the course. It was all academic, and it was through the societies and stuff like that. So I learned how to create my own drama company there. I learned how to cast, direct, and I acted in quite a few shows there as well. And then I fell in love with acting again. Like, this is 100% what I want to do. So I auditioned for drama schools and then decided to go to Arts Ed for a year, which is quite nice.
And how was that for you?
That was, I think, one of the best experiences I've ever had. The course was just everything I wanted. Steve Hudson is the course leader for my cohort, and he is a fantastic, I can't say this enough, absolutely fantastic theatre course maker. Like, he knows what actors needs, and he knows how to have this theatrical process through drama school, and he brought in the best of the best, and it was a fantastic year. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough.
Do you feel that young would-be professionals today still sort of need or benefit from that sort of conservatoire type training?
The thing is, I thought about that, actually. You know, it goes through everyone's mind. And I sort of had the idea of, before I went to drama school, that, you know, maybe you don't need it. And, you know, there's stories of actors who move on and don't go to drama school. And I have some professional actor friends who didn't go to drama school. But I would say 100%, I would recommend going to drama school, even if it is for a postgrad or for the 3 years. It is worth it, especially because of the wealth of knowledge and the toolkit you learn, and not just for acting, for surviving, because that is so important. You have to learn the way of living if you're going to, you know, survive. And it's about having this toolkit of stuff that you have with you for the rest of your life that you can always go back to and be like, okay, so I've got this show that I'm auditioning for, but they're doing some sort of specific movement. So let me just check if I went through it, so I could just do it again, or I can email one of my teachers. You know, it's a connection, and I'm connected to all my course, my cohort. And, you know, we reach out to each other, we help each other out. You know, Lou Kendon Ross, who was the lead in Bog Royal Bandits, she was in my cohort, and so was Jessica Booth, who was Henrietta in Bog Royal as well. And they auditioned for the play, and I didn't give them any like special treatment or anything like that. Loads of my friends auditioned, but they were just absolutely fantastic. And the connection and the relationships that we have with each other, it just really bounces off and is electric. So yeah, I think definitely there are so many pros to going to drama school.
And then following that, you signed for representation with Actorum, which is a very long-standing, guided cooperative. How do you find, because there'll be people watching this who are either looking to switch representation or maybe are unsigned or haven't worked in that sort of environment before.
Uh-huh.
How do you find that sort of mixture of the agency and the co-op approach to finding work?
I think it's fantastic. If you're a person who likes to have some sort of, you know, control over your narrative, your story, your path, then I would recommend going down the cooperative route. The thing about Actorium is so special is because we're such a tight-knit group, we have to know each other really well to work. And having a lead agent, which is Amy Lowton, sort of just navigates that. So even if I, want to, and people get this misconstrued. So just to say this in case anyone watching doesn't know what a cooperative is, it's a acting agency run by actors for actors. And we were, I think it was 1974, we first came into fruition, and it was Julie Walters and a group of her acting mates that sort of created it. And we have a lead agent, which is someone we employ, Amy Lowton. We pay her to be a lead agent, and we can't put ourselves up for work. That is not a thing that happens in Actorium. We have someone on desk 2, which is sort of the person who sugs us for TV and theatre, like sort of the big stuff, and then the desk 3 person, where I am, because I've only been with them for I think 2 years now, where they just do commercials because they come in like hundreds a day, so you just have to keep sugging them in. And then you have Amy, who's in charge of the whole thing, the whole operation. She is the agent. We pay her to be an agent. And say I email in and say, guys, I saw this casting and I think I'd be really good for it. They will talk about it. And if Amy doesn't think I should go up for it, then I'm not going up for it. And she will probably explain that to me. She will explain that to me. And it makes a lot of sense because you have to be smart with putting yourself up for work. You can't put yourself up for everything. You have to tailor yourself. And what I've learned from Actorium is that you can't just think that you're going to show up and be at the National the next day, or you're just going to be in a soap or on the Hollywood walk pathway, whatever it's called. You can't, and sometimes that happens. That's great, 1%, and fantastic. But realistically, if you want to build a career in acting, you have to take these milestone steps, and take yourself there in the direction you want to take yourself. And that's what we work on in Actorium. We work on everyone's individual way up that sort of stepping stool. But yeah.
And of course, those that are watching may well include people who you have, however subliminally, got to switch their energy provider. It's the impact is widespread in terms of one's life.
Oh, you switch.
Of course, not content with simply performing, you're also the co-director of your own production company, which we've mentioned earlier, Ethereal Theatre, and that's 4 years now. Has that been running? Or coming up for 4 years?
Yeah, I think it's coming up to 5 years.
5 years,
yeah.
So how has your experience been acting as a producer as well as a performer? Was producing something that you'd had in mind before?
It was definitely part of the sort of final picture, sort of image, because I love theatre and I love making theatre. So, whatever I was doing, I would naturally be happy. I think after my course at Arts Ed, I sort of started thinking, no, I definitely want to be an actor. I definitely don't want to be a director or sort of producer, but I still want to make my own work. And I think that's important about it. So Ethereal sort of moving in a different direction since then. We're moving in a more kind of direction where we're still producing work, but we're producing original work, work that comes from us, comes from our soul, comes from our friends, and work that matters. Not like we weren't making work that mattered before, but we were sort of taking pre-existing work and sort of putting a new twist on them and putting a new narrative on them, kind of thing. So they sort of see the show in a different lens, and they're like, oh, actually, I'd never thought about it that way, which I thought was fun to do. And it is fun, and we will carry on doing that, hopefully, in the future. But right now, it's all about creating work that matters. And in the productions themselves, I will hopefully either write or be in them. So, yeah.
And what is your policy with regard to selecting shows now? What is it that excites you when you see it presented to you, either as an idea or as a script?
Something that excites me is something that I've never seen before, and I'm sort of like a harsh critic without being one. So like I'm like super kind on like a casting table. Like some of my friends call me the Paula Abdul, because I just feel for everyone who comes into the room. Like I understand that feeling of the casting panel. But something that really excites me, a piece that really excites me. So we're still developing Bog Royal. I co-wrote that, so I'm really passionate about having this original heist comedy. So we're working on that, but we're also working on a play called Caffeine at the moment. I'm sort of dipping in as a writer, but the main person and advice giver. But the main person who's writing is one of my best friends called Daniel Jones. And he sort of runs the social media and sort of outreach for Ethereal. We met him at Royal Holloway as well. He's my best friend. He's Dana's best friend. And he is a person who has Tourette's. And we have been talking about this for years, about the fact that there is no play, or we haven't seen any play about, Tourette's, and we want to put that on. We want to tell Dan's story, basically. And we want to, so that's what we're going to be working on now, as well as Bog Royal, is this play called Caffeine. And it's predominantly about Dan's experience, personal Tourette's, and it's for everyone. There's so many misconceptions about TS and how it can affect a person with it and the people around them. And it's such an important story, and that's what I'm looking for when we put on work. That's what I would risk everything for, is kind of, because that's what you do when you put on your own work. You're risking something. You're risking your time, you're risking sometimes a lot of money, your money, and you're risking it. You're risking your reputation, I guess. So that's what we're going to do. And even if I get one person who sees that show and says, wow, I didn't know that, and I feel really informed and I feel ready to go out and help talk to people about Tourette syndrome, and how it can affect someone, and how I was wrong with my misconceptions, then that is enough. So that's what I would do. I would think, if one person was to say that, then that's enough. Then definitely we should put on this production.
You're in addition to that, you are seeking at the moment to raise finance to rework Bog Royal Bandits, which we talked about. Would you like to just tell our audience what it is that you're hoping to achieve and how they might be able to help?
So what we're looking to achieve at the moment is we are trying to raise £10,000, which is a lot of money, not just for Bog Royal. The majority of it will be going to Bog Royal to develop it. What we want to do is we want to pay our entire cast and crew equity minimum pay. So the majority of the money is going to wages for actors, directors, company members, because that is a priority. It is a priority, especially during now and forever. It's a priority for us, is good pay. And then after that, the rest of the money is going to technology. What we were challenged with, like I said, was the bandwidth, the Wi-Fi, the camera quality. So we're going to rent out a lot of equipment as well that we can send to our actors, so they don't have to worry about if their Wi-Fi is a bit naff. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not their priority. It shouldn't be their priority. It should never be their priority. And they should focus on their character and do the job that we've asked them to do, rather than fixing some Wi-Fi and fixing a light bulb. And I don't mind doing that. None of them minded doing that. And we all love each other, but I'm trying to be like, I want you to really focus on what you're doing and have everyone else focus on what they're doing, and sort of come together as a team like that. And in order to do that, we need money. We've never been given a handout at Ethereal. No one's ever sort of been like, and what I mean by that is we've never sort of been like, oh, here's £5,000, go make what you want. We've had to raise it from scratch. We've had to borrow. We had to lend. We've had to pay back. We've had to scrape pennies together to do what we do and do it to a good standard. And we don't have any reserves in our bank account. So anything that people can give us right now, for the first time we're asking, because not only with this £10,000 remake Bog Royal, but also start the development of caffeine, it will also help us to sort of push us up a little bit, because then reserves start rolling in and things begin to move and work. It's like, if you think of like a hamster on a wheel, we need the wheel.
Well, hamster rich and wheel poor. That's I like that as a. And how can people support you?
So if you are looking to support us, which is wonderful, if you are not wanting or looking or can't support us monetarily wise, like money wise, then just follow us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and keep seeing what we're doing and checking in on us at Ethereal Theatre. If you can support us in any way, then if you go to the website www.etherealtheatre.com, there's the little toggle. So if you click on that button, it should direct you to where you can go to support us and help us buy our wheel, so we can begin to run on this wheel.
There will, of course, be links to all of that down in the description, and of course, we at Dark Unicorn are very happy to associate ourselves with any other company that is working on the sort of ethical basis that you are. That has always been our foundation basis, and there are ways in which you can support both companies down in the description and on both our websites. It's obviously been an extraordinarily strange year for all sorts of reasons. What would you like to see emerge from 2020 in terms of the arts?
Oh, that's a difficult one, because I feel like the arts is in danger at the moment. I mean, I feel like the arts is always in danger due to funding. But what I want to see is the big notch, the big guys internally in the arts realise, this is the struggle that a lot of little companies have been going through forever, like not just during a pandemic, and say, we need to unite up here with down here, because up here wouldn't be where it is without down here. So let us help each other. So I want to see some people coming together and creating work for the first time, giving people their first shot, And then I want to see, our government sort of reach out and say, you know what, this sort of gives us £100 billion towards our economy every year. Theatre and TV and film and the arts does to our country. Let's give them a helping hand, because I believe they haven't done that yet. For theatre, like making work, I want to see us. I think what everyone needs right now is a way of connecting, a way of saying, we've gone through this, we've had to isolate away from people, we've had to stay away, and we've sort of been connecting through digital theatre and sort of like using your phone and texting people and Zooming them. But how could we connect to people through theatre, which has always been the case, but now more than ever we need to be united. And I think people need to laugh. Like, I think 2020 we need a lot of laughter, and that's what I want to do, and I think that's what we should be working towards: laughter.
I mean, and speaking of laughter, it must of course be noted that you not simply performer, but you are an award nominee. You're a British Panto Award nominee for your groundbreaking performance as turnip-loving non-binary cow Moo Moo at the Watford Palace. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wondering, how does one prepare for a role such as
that? So that was my first ever professional show, and I have no idea how I prepared for that show. It was crazy. I mean, I went through 4 rounds of auditions just to get the role. And I was like, why? It's just a cow. It's a sassy cow. It's a panto. But then I realised, I got the script and I was like, oh, this is not just a cow. This is a cow that has, a lot of lines and a lot of stuff to do. And it was sort of the comic relief of the show. And, panto, I fell in love with during Jack and the Beanstalk at Watford Palace. 1, because Watford Palace is amazing. 2, because they look after everyone in the company and they're amazing again. And 3, they really put it into it. There's so much that gets put into it and they love it. I fell in love with panto because I never went to pantomimes when I was a kid. Like I said, we were homeless for a long time, and I don't know why, but I just never went to a single pantomime as a child, and my schools never took me. So I fell in love with it as an adult, being in one, and it is so special. And preparing for Moo Moo, Moo Moo came from, I had a playlist, and it's called Sassy Cow. And I would pop my headphones in, and I had my little not my script but my little book with me, and in the changing rooms I sort of have a look, and Moo Moo had sort of written a little journal, and with 50 questions about himself or themselves, and they had answered all these questions. So I sort of get into that mentality by reading what Moo Moo had written, and then I'd get into Moo Moo and sort of write another question. So it was kind of like a dating blog thing. And as soon as the play starts, when I get pulled onto stage with the giant the glitter rope, I get pulled on my jack and I get thrown on, and as soon as I see that audience and just the electricity of them seeing who I am, Moo Moo becomes Moo Moo, and she's going off singing Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the Yard and all that stuff in front of all these people, and just living their wonderful turnip life. It was fantastic, man. I miss it so much.
I have various friends that do panto every year, and one in particular he plays the dame every year, and he talks about the fact that the character sort of descends upon you rather than you necessarily working way into it, and suddenly
It just comes. It
yeah.
comes.
Well, no, panto's amazing. I love panto.
It's honestly, I recommend it for every actor in person to just be involved in. It's
just for stamina as much as anything else, really. I mean, those.
I don't know how I did it. I don't know. We had 12 shows a week, and my role was really physical. Like I was in all of the dances, especially like the milkshake medley, which obviously I'm the cow. Was definitely it's really intense, but I think you have to build your stamina, of course, for any show, but also for panto, the atmosphere is what keeps you going. You're like, it's electric. You're obsessed with it, and the audience are just perfect. It truly is perfect.
It's a fantastic form of theatre.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people who have been spirited away, sadly, by 2020 was James Lipton, who founded Inside the Actors Studio as both a broadcast and as a course. And what we've been doing with each of our guests is taking the 10 quick questions that he asked at the end of each interview and putting them to our guests. He stole them from somebody else beforehand, so we have no problem with stealing them from him. And so we might as well just crack on. What is your favourite word?
Bewildered.
And your least favourite word?
Small.
Small. A question which can be answered however you like. What turns you on?
Good theatre.
And off?
Sorry?
And off?
Bad theatre.
What sound or noise do you love?
Moo.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
What? Mother Goose.
What is your favourite swear word?
Can I say it?
Yes, you can.
Cunt. That's a great. I'm sorry. I love it.
Explosive. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would love to attempt being a spaceman.
And what profession would you absolutely not ever want to do?
Theatre. I'm joking. I'm joking. I would not want to be a surgeon because I've got shaky hands. Can't do that.
When your time comes, if you wake up from it and discover that heaven does indeed exist, what would you like to hear said to you when you arrive?
I would like them to say, "Girl, everything's gonna be okay." And then someone with a gorgeous drag queen comes along and then sassies and then tells me to like follow them into this wonderful glitter place. That would be nice.
Mark, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Paddy.